Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you had a nice lunch, not too much, otherwise you'll fall asleep. I will talk today about social media in practice. You're lucky because Charlie, my colleague in the other room, will be focusing on structuring storytelling, and actually we're already talking about how to sell your story and mainly online. Maybe a quick introduction. I'm Kwinten Lambrecht. I know, a very difficult name. I come from Belgium. Today the Red Devils are playing against England, so bear with me. But maybe you can ask me, what would you like to know about me? It's always like this typical, I studied political science and strategic communication and so on, but maybe you have questions. Now that you have a unique opportunity to ask a question to a Belgian. No questions? Oh, that's too bad. I thought it was like a kind of an icebreaker between you and me.
What you want to tell us?
Yeah, but that you will see in the next 128 slides. Yes. But it's full of great visuals and so on. So it won't be a boring exercise. Voilà. What can I tell about myself? I'm from Brussels, live in Brussels. Brussels is a very nice city, as you may know. I'm 28 years old. I've been working a lot for the Commission, Parliament. I'm working on video, digital storytelling, and advertising. I also tweet at Kwinten Lambrecht, so you can find me there. Now, today we'll give you really hands-on tips on how to sell your content, and not for money, but for likes, for interactions, for engagement, for website clicks, to get your projects heard. And I think this is the situation today. We're all in a very, very busy world, lots of noise online. You see ads passing by, fake news coming by, lots of new things arising, new platforms online. You cannot, you have 20 tabs open, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever. And apparently today, youngsters and people around us have an attention span of 8 seconds. And that's kind of the same as a goldfish. Goldfish has around 6 to 8. A very smart one has 8 seconds. But that's something we'll need to tackle in the future. And that's where I think social media can be a very, very powerful tool to get your message across and to add value to users online. And not only to talk about your project, but also to promote it towards communities that you may have never reached before. But if you're doing social media in a wrong way, and I'll give 3 small examples. This is, for example, a direct link between tweets and Facebook updates. Never do it. Never link your 2 platforms. The content is completely different for both platforms. This one is also terrible. Your last tweet was in 2006. Maybe then you should just leave Twitter. And too much text, people don't have the time anymore, unfortunately, on social media to use to read big content. You can use your social media channels as a teaser towards large content, towards long-form content like big videos, documentaries, large blog posts, news articles, but never, try to keep it simple, and we'll see a couple of examples of that in the future. So what you actually need is a strategy. A strategy can be made in different ways. You can start, for example, by setting your goals, then thinking about target audience, thinking about what kind of content ideas you can bring forward, then start with the actual content creation. You'll get the presentation, by the way, so you don't have to note everything down. This is, we're relaxed. Then we're going over to content selling, and then we're finally going to check what is our return on investment. How can we evaluate to become better? But first, think about your goals. And there are plenty of goals, definitely for you guys. You have all different projects spanning a number of topics. And there are just so many goals that you need to be aware of. And I have okay, these are goals. Okay, you see the joke, it's a goal, it's a World Cup, and okay. But your goal can also can be very, very different. You can inform about your project, you can try to engage people, you can have a CTA, a call to action, and you can get people to sign a petition, to sign up for your event. Just build awareness around you, so get your project heard. And the most important thing is to have smart goals. Who knows what a smart goal is? Not small. It's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and also timely. Some examples of smart goals can be this year, in light of our project, we want a 30% website increase visitors. By the end of the year, we want 1,000 new Facebook fans. Before the summer, we want to pitch 3 stories via Twitter to journalists. Or during our next event, we want at least 10 people to be live tweeting. Of course, this goes hand in hand with KPIs, another very difficult word, the key performance indicators. Those are clicks, press clippings, overall reach of your campaign, of your social media communication, and of course maybe the quality views. Quality views means people didn't click away after 1 second, but stayed watching your video for at least 70–75%. Okay, then you have a quality view. And then of course it comes down to who's your target audience. For you guys, it will probably be journalists, citizens, local governments, maybe potential projects. And also always think about which content works best for which target audience. I will see what kind of tactics you can apply for that and for which platform. Because, I mean, as I showed you earlier, Facebook, in terms of content production, is completely different from Twitter. In Facebook, you can have large, long-lasting campaigns, schedule your content a little bit more than on Twitter. On Twitter, it's in the moment, current affairs, try to team up as soon as possible, try to get your message across, try to hijack hashtags. And on Facebook, it's a little bit less the case. Then we see target audience versus your tone of voice. So to journalists, you probably want to have an information-driven communication. To politicians and stakeholders, that might be results-driven. So what kind of results can we show and can we put forward in our communication? And to citizens, it's about soft selling. We're here to help. We're here to change the world or the region you live in, and that's what we're going to do. And each platform, of course, is different. I mean, who uses Facebook here? Okay, that's quite good. Twitter, for in professional capacity. Twitter, okay. LinkedIn, yes. Instagram, it's still quite going strong. And Snapchat, for example, nobody. Instagram stories, the people's story. Okay, good, very good. Very nice. But as you can see, and as you may know, if you're using all of those platforms, the audiences are completely different. Instagram is really people that expect visual content, way younger people. Between 18 and 25 is the top age on Instagram. Snapchat is even way younger. It's about starting at 13 years old. Twitter is mainly seen for experts, for journalists, for quick news, sharing, breaking news. And of course, then also your ways of presenting content becomes different. If you think about reaching youngsters on Facebook, for example, I mean, they're not buying any laptops anymore. They're not buying any iPads or big desktop computers. They're continuously on their phones. So the way you present your content should also be completely different. If you want to have as much visibility as possible, you better start creating vertical content. You don't create 69 videos anymore, horizontal videos as we used to watch on TV, those kind of videos. You make vertical videos to get the attention of youngsters and to be able to increase your reach as much as possible on screen of youngsters, because youngsters are not going to turn around and watch your video. They want to see your video happening on screen. Timing is also different. We can see, and I'll show you some tools. You can perfectly see when Twitter users are most active, when your Facebook fans are most active. So when you should be tweeting or Facebooking really depends on the timing. And of course, advertising. Advertising is everything nowadays. On Facebook, for example, you get around 7% of organic reach. That's not a lot. So if you have 1,000 fans, you'll be reaching organically 70 people. So you need to boost at least your visibility a little bit by investing in small advertising. And you'll see later on that even with €5, you can do a lot, but you have to do it well. It's very hot already in here. Is that correct? Or because I'm standing next to this heat wave thing. Is it possible to turn on the airco?
It is on.
Yeah. You just have to put the red button on top. Yes, there. That's the sound of airco. Sorry. Is this okay for the sound? Yeah. All right. And
Maybe can you speak a bit louder?
yeah, of course. Does everybody hear me? Is it okay like this? Yes. Okay. And I'm really sorry to tell you, but everything is changing all the time. All platforms are continuously changing. Right now, Instagram introduced a new feature. Who knows? You know? What kind of tool?
In Instagram,
Yeah.
you is a kind is to see videos.
Yes,
the
indeed.
moment.
Long form.
It's 2 days ago direct.
Indeed. So it's IGTV, Instagram TV. Has just been launched, and you see these kind of product updates all the time. So you better be ready, embrace for new stuff coming soon. Now, this is a small little table that again shows what kind of audiences are mostly on which platforms. I mean, I also included Google Plus because there's nobody anymore. But as you may see, Facebook, Pinterest, more popular with women. With men, that would be with LinkedIn, more popular 18-29, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Higher income, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn. Something to keep in mind, definitely when you start building persona, for example, that you attach the right platform to the right audience and Tito content. You'll hear about personas normally in Charlie's training as well. But moreover, I mean, and now the GIF thing starts. Try to fish where the fish are. I mean, try to incorporate some common sense, knowing that after some years of working in the business or working with your projects and working even in the region, that you know, okay, there I can find my audience. On that platform I can find my audience. Don't try to invest time on Twitter if after 3 years you only have 100 followers. Then it might just be good to leave it apart and invest your time in blogging, for example, or in recording a monthly or a weekly podcast about the project or about your project involvement. So is anyone podcasting here? No? There's a very, very cool tool that you can apply immediately, and it's called Anchor, ANCHOR. With Anchor, you make, with a simple app, so you record using your phone, up to 6 to 7 minute podcast interviews or podcast reviews that you're recording yourself or with someone else. Project beneficiary, for example, that you interview very quickly, and afterwards you can add a little bit of background sound to make it all smooth and easy listening. And in a third phase, you can easily export it into different products. So one is a video in which you just see the sound waves. One can be just an MP3 file, and one is an Anchor link that you can share towards your followers. So it's a very nice way of of using and reusing your content in different ways. And podcasting is definitely back. Maybe some of you are listening to podcasts, but I love it. If you're in public transport or just in the garden chilling out, you listen to a story or to a product review or whatsoever. It's very very nice because you can also completely relax away from screens and just listen and focus on a voice, if the voice is nice, of course. And maybe another point that I want to add is that the more serious target audiences, politicians, important stakeholders, journalists, they are human beings too. And human beings want to be entertained, indeed. We want to be entertained. Maybe a little example. This is entertainment. Voila. And people don't lose taste. Even in a professional environment, we like to see nice stuff. From motion design things to, we don't want to see PDF files being shared on social media. It's just horrible. It's better just to see a small infographic where you can get the essence immediately from what you're actually trying to say in 20 paragraphs in a PDF file. We want things to be visual. This is visual harvesting. Probably some of you have already experimented with it. We want things to be human as well. We want to see humans on social media, and also we want to see good quality content. This is for me a very, very strong and powerful image that went around on social media a lot about the ban on plastic bags. It also was used in The Economist, for example. And we also want to see humor when it comes to getting a message across. And I think a very good example of that is the one that was recently made by EU Environment. And it's about exactly about the plastic. Maybe some of you have seen it. Yeah. No. Voila. So in a quite humorous way, getting a message across, and in a very long video as well. I mean, this took around 1 minute, so we already surpassed this 8-second rule, which I'm really happy about. And probably now you think, yeah, but I cannot do this. I need to run away. Don't run yet, because I will help you. I will help you to give you some tools that will help you also to create content in a fast and in a quite an efficient way. So we're going over to the elephant in the room, and that's content and content production. First of all, we need to ask ourselves the question: what kind of content are we putting forward? There are 3 questions. Would others find it interesting? So that's would you share it with your uncle, your brother, family, friends? Is it revealing a part of me, of my organization, which I'm comfortable sharing with? And does it really fit the message and the goals that I want to be expressing on social media. First of all, try to think which content is in-house already. Try to use your own content, behind-the-scenes content, news items, your day-to-day activities, introduction of new staff or introduction of staff if you haven't done that before, and so to humanize your organization. Small visits, small videos of project visits, live tweeting at events. Who live tweets at events? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not bad. Let's try to tweet more, because it's about your own visibility. I always compare it with making a super fancy website with lots of functionalities. It's looking so great, completely 2018. But if you're not promoting it, nobody's going to visit it. So don't wait until someone is visiting you. Try to reach those new communities, and helping. Something that might help is tweeting at conferences. But also, if you have content and you're quite happy about it, try to repurpose it. What is repurposing? Don't settle for one product only. If you made a video like this one, I found it on the INTERREG Med. Voila. Very nice. It was very nice. There were also some animations in it. So I found this cool video. It's a bit long, maybe 4 minutes, but we've. I mean, you can. So first of all, voila, it's 4 minutes. You can easily cut it in 4 parts. So that's already one lesson that we can take away from this. We can also make a GIF from it. Voila. So this is a GIF that will continue to loop. So if you're attaching this to a tweet or to a Facebook update, you will already give people a sort of a teaser of your full video, of what you want to tell, but not the entire video. But this is a teaser for people to click further and to get the entire picture. This is another GIF. Voila, climate change. Voila, easy to make. I'll show you later on with which tools. So another product, visual. So the European Union needs to lead the energy transition. So out of one product, I can already make 5 different content outputs if I want to tease people to visit your website, but also just to do a different way of storytelling. And a different way of storytelling could also be, in this case, to cut your video up, or to take some nice little stills from the video and to turn them into a carousel post on Facebook. Carousel posts are great because you can, from a very large product like a big blog post or a position paper, you can easily tell your story from 3 to 10 different steps, which you can just swipe through on social media. So you can have step 1, 2, 3, 4, and people get your story at first. If they want to if they want to know more, they click on one of the carousel on the carousel pictures, and they're being driven towards your website. So that's, I think, even if you're limited in content, think about ways to repurpose it in different manners. The same with you've written a news article, for example. You've tweeted it once because you've been using the title and link, but why don't you just reuse it in different tweets by asking a question, having a call to action, including a small little infographic, including a GIF, so you can keep your own content even if you're not producing it on a daily basis en masse. You can keep your content alive on social media longer than you may think. And a very important one, I mean, a rule, it's only a rule on social media, is to stick to the 5-3-2 rule. So 5, yeah. Hi guys. The 5 means try to attribute content towards your audience. Try to share news, articles, things you may find on the web that are not directly about your own organization or project, but that are interlinked with what you're talking about. If you're working with about plastic pollution in the ocean or research on plastic pollution, then try to find articles or news items that are interlinked with what you're trying to say to people. Nothing is more annoying than only talking about yourself. I mean, it's probably the same in a conversation that you may have with one of your colleagues. If that colleague is only talking about himself, you're like, I might just get a dessert and we'll see each other later. 3, there you can talk about yourself. So you can, for 30%, you can only talk about yourself and about what you're doing, about your news outputs, your articles, where you're at, which events, what kind of new stages in the project. And 2 is to humanize your communication. One of your colleagues is birthday, or you're having a team building or whatever. I mean, 20% can be about the humanizing factor of your organization. And then, of course, this 5, I mean, number 5 is quite a difficult one, you may think, but there are many, many sources to find news, not only about yourself, but about others, related to your topics. One of them is Feedly. Does anyone know Feedly? Yes? Yeah. Great, super. So maybe I don't need to explain then, or maybe I will. Feedly is a very interesting news generator, which works with a sort of RSS structure, and based on keywords or even based on publications that you're following, you can add them to your own personal newspaper. So every day you can go to feedly.com whenever you've inserted all your keywords that you're interested in, and it will gather all kinds of news articles and blog posts from all over the web that mention these kind of keywords. And if you're following, for example, a couple of very specialized blogs or outlets, you can have them all in one place instead of having to open 20 new tabs every day. So we're winning time by using a tool like Feedly. The alternative, a bit the same, is Pocket. You put actually the news articles and things that you may want to read later on into your Pocket. There's a Chrome extension as well. So on Chrome you can have these small little extensions on the right-hand side and to save articles for later on. So you don't even have to go to Pocket, you just save an article that you don't have the time at the moment for to read, you add it to your Pocket. Now, where can you find other news? BuzzSumo. Does anyone know BuzzSumo? In BuzzSumo, you can find, well, in the free, at least the free edition, you can find the most buzzing articles all over the web related to some keywords. So here I put in, I don't know if you can read it, but I had climate change, and of course there's lots of Trump stuff and so on coming up in the past year. If you have a paid subscription, you can even go to the past 24 hours, and you can continuously look for interesting topics and news items all over the web. What's also cool about BuzzSumo is that you can look for influencers in your, I mean, even based on a location, that are talking about some kind of topics. So if you're working on a project that is about nature conservation, you put in all the keywords, and you'll probably find Twitter profiles, YouTubers, Facebookers that are writing or talking about those topics as well, that you then may want to invite for even to have a coffee or to team up with at an event, to have as a speaker, and so on. Please interrupt me if you have a question or something. Some other tools are Google. Google knows everything about us. We don't know anything about Google. Google Alerts, very easy. The first step that you do actually when you started a new company or when you start working on a new project is making a Google Alert for yourself, for your own organization, or even for your own person. So you've been speaking at an event, people have been blogging about you. You will get an immediate alert on a weekly, daily, hourly, immediate basis.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Yeah. Well.
Can you explain better what is?
Yes. So alerts.google.com. You put in a keyword like INTERREG, for example, And then you have some kind of some other indicators in which you can just say, I want to receive an update in my mailbox whenever this keywords or whenever my project name is being mentioned online. And that's again a new way of finding content easily. You can do it about yourself, but also about the region, for example, you're living in, combined with another keyword to drag it a little bit down. Another Google tool is Google News, Google Trends, in which you can see what kind of, if you include the keyword in your search, you can see where people are searching for the keyword, where it's been mainly used, and also what's interesting is what kind of keywords and topics are also being searched and are related searches. So when I looked for INTERREG, you have INTERREG Spheric Norge, you have INTERREG NWE, Atlantic Area, Northwest Europe is also there. And when you look at related subjects, you see, for example, circular economy. So it's all kind of interesting to look from time to time at Google Trends. If you have a large project and you're doing a big communication campaign about it, you can see if people are actually picking up on it or not over time. Now over to content creation. So we've found our content for our five rule, but of course we need to create content ourselves as well. And I think the first thing that you may need to look at is to use the native tools of the platforms. I don't know if you've recently looked at how Facebook pages look like, but there's an enormous amount of content production tools that you can just simply use on Facebook itself. So you can organize a poll, for example. You can make a list of how your project is developing, for example. The poll can be a question, A, B. You can make them with GIFs, with images. You can get people to send you messages if they have a question. You can add a milestone, so project launch, first results, midterm results. So you can add them as milestones towards your to your Facebook page. You can check in somewhere. I mean, add a photo, video. I mean, write a note. Writing notes is also enormously important. If you give content to Facebook, they'll be happy because you're giving them content, so they will put you higher up in the feed. Writing a note is like writing a blog post, but instead of going to WordPress.com, you write it on Facebook.com, and you give them actually content which they really like. So if you've been at an event, or if you have a new project update to share, write it in a note instead of writing it, or write it as well in a note and also on your website. Or write a teaser in a note with a nice little visual on top, and the rest of the text will go on your website if people want to learn more about it. And of course, Facebook Live. Yeah, so this is normally, voila, this is a Facebook Live, how you shouldn't do it. You should actually immediately start the Facebook Live. But have people gone live here? Once, okay, one, very good. Why should you go live on Facebook? Just because Facebook loves video. Facebook wants to be an in-the-moment platform as well. So when you go live, usually Facebook sends an update towards your followers and your fans that your organization is going live. Very important one to get and to tackle a bit the reach that you may be lacking. So if you're going to an event, if you're interviewing, if you're doing a Q&A with someone, if you're following a keynote speech by someone, try to go live and show, or if you're even explaining your project or your first beta version of an app or of a product, try to do it live. Try to make it as human as possible and go live. Even with your phone, it's very easy. I mean, there's a built-in camera, there's a microphone, so go live instead not at the seaside, because then you won't hear anything because of the wind, but try to test it at least when you come home and you're in a professional environment. Try to go live with your Facebook page. Now, what can you be sharing live? It's breaking news. It's could be behind the scenes stuff, interviews, a session coverage at an important event or at the next annual meeting. And how? Very important. Try to be as stable as possible, because your internet connection might not be good enough. So if you move a lot, the internet connection won't be able to process the images. Also, watch out for sound. Lots of, not lots, but some social media noobs, they start filming like this, and they cover the sound, the microphone. So that's a little bit of a bad situation. Try always to connect on Wi-Fi, and also if you're going live on Twitter, for example, try to prepare already some tweets in advance, announcing that you're going to go live, and identify the main tags, people you want to be hashtagging and so on for the live session. Identify them in advance, so that struggle is already done. If we look at the native tools of Twitter, very cool is the polling option. Have people been doing polls on Twitter? Great way to get people to interact with your content. So you can have a poll of 5 minutes to even days, where you ask a question to people and where you want them to interact with your content. The GIFs, I'm a big fan of GIFs. You'll see that later on. You can attach images, you can check in as well with Twitter, and of course the Periscope. Periscope is, did someone use Periscope already? One person, very good. Periscope is the live video tool of Twitter. So it's a bit the same as Facebook Live, but then on Twitter, and it's a great way to get people to interact with your content, also with video, to repost that video afterwards. So try to experiment with video as much as possible. Then you have the built-in tools by LinkedIn. You can play with native video right now, so also for other platforms, don't use any YouTube links, Vimeo links, Dailymotion links. Try to give that content organically and natively to the platforms you're working with. So now, YouTube used to be popular with LinkedIn. That's now over. You can now organically upload a video to LinkedIn, which will give you way more reach than you would do it with a YouTube link. So keep it in mind. Also for Facebook and Twitter, it's an absolute no-go to use YouTube or Vimeo links, because Facebook wants to kill Google soon. Who knows? But voilà, so keep it in mind. Another interesting tool is the Pulse function. Does anyone know Pulse on LinkedIn? It's LinkedIn's blogging platform that you use as a person. But for example, if you're the communications person in your team, you can write Pulse posts, very small and short articles, and again, trying to get people to go to the website of the organization. And to get at least a little bit of website traffic. I know it's an important KPI as well for projects. So you can't do it as an organization. It's something you do personally, but even in your network, you can at least try to get people to visit your project website or your organization's website. So it's LinkedIn Pulse, and it looks a little bit like that. So you can also customize it with your own keywords, with quotes, video, a nice header image. So it's definitely worth trying. And then, we haven't even talked about Instagram, but I'll quickly go over it. You can do lots of nice things within Instagram. Instagram is a real content creation tool. Nowadays, you can write entire text in different styles. You can have polls. Okay, this is about a donut, but okay, you can have more interesting stuff as well, of course. You can have polls, you can have hashtags, you can have sliders, you can have locations. You can add GIFs, stickers, or whatsoever. This is the latest innovation. It's the slider function. And you probably say, yeah, but this is about pizza. But you can even ask, how much do you hate plastic in the sea? And people slide, not with this emoji, of course, but with the emoji of a green leaf, for example. So you can definitely play with that and try to encourage people to engage with your content and to reach completely new audiences that are starting at the age of 15, 16 years old. Key tips, feed content to the platforms. I think I was clear enough on that side. Keep an eye on recent innovations. Try to update your apps enough. Play around and test what works. I mean, we've seen on Facebook you can do plenty of things. Test a little bit what kind of reactions you get. And another very important part is to increase your reach, your overall reach, is to attribute to tag people in or to tag organizations in your tweets and Facebook and LinkedIn updates, and to add locations as well. It will all help you to increase your own awareness in a region, to certain people that you tag in your posts, and so on. So very important that you try to attribute as much as possible. If you're sharing an article by someone, say via at this account or this organization. Now we'll go over some useful tools for content production. And I'll start with visuals. Who's been creating visuals on his own for his or her communication? Yeah, and which tools are you using, for example? Yeah. Maybe you'll recognize. Yeah.
Other colleagues use these, but I don't.
Okay. Maybe you'll recognize some of them, which I will introduce. And what kind of tools are you using, for example?
No, I'm not using. I want to use.
You want to use. Okay. No, very good. Very good. We always want to learn. That's good. First of all, you want to be looking for an interesting image to attach to your tweet or to your blog post or your news article. It's always difficult to find copyright-free images. We all have the feeling we don't want it to be too stock images, iStock-like. So there are quite a lot of interesting websites. First of all, there's, I don't know if you can read this, probably not, Pexels, P-E-X-E-L-S, VectorStock, there's Unsplash, so UN Splash, and of course there are the within certain search engines like Flickr, you can look for images that are completely license free. So you're covered with that. Now over to creating images. One of the most popular tools and very easy tools, certainly because it's full of templates that you can use already.
Well,
This is one, but it's not.
Is this Canva. So Canvas without a S, sorry. And second one is Snappa. Does anybody know Snappa? No. Good. I will maybe just show you very quickly how you can easily make an image. Let's see. Okay, so this is Snappa. We'll try to do it in 2 minutes or 1 minute. You can choose a template for which platform you're working on. If you're really lazy, then you take a template and then just alter it a little bit. This, for example, could be one, 10 tips to live plastic free or whatever. Or we're going to make a new one. You didn't ask me the question, but I'm a big cycling fan. So now you know. So let's say that we want to promote cycling lanes in our region. We're looking for a nice background image. This could be a cool one. Voila. Then we may want to put a little effect on it, so maybe a color overlay that we may choose here. I mean, let's go for pink or something, yeah. Voila. Then what else we want to add? Of course, yeah, text. So here's the text. Add a heading. You see, centralize a little bit. Oopsie, sorry. Sign is good for you. It's a ugly font, so let's go for a different one. Maybe this one. Centralized again. Pick a different color. Let's go for white. And we're done. Okay, so this is 40 seconds, and you have a simple, small social media image that you can use for any of your communication. If you say, okay, this was for Facebook, let's make one for Twitter, because we need to, of course, alter our message, but also post it on Twitter with the hashtags and with handles and so on. We just click Twitter, and we have our Twitter image. Voila, we centralize a little bit, and we're good to go. Very, very interesting tool just to make quick images on the go. So content production doesn't have to take a lot of time. It probably takes you longer to log in to find your email address and your password again than to make these kind of visuals. You can make it bigger. You can add a little bit of shadow, whatever. You can do whatever you want with it. And all of these images are license free. So if you're even looking for ocean, there are plenty of oceans, plenty of water, plenty of stuff that you can be using in your communication. And they also have a lot of graphics. So if you say we want to promote our Twitter account, voila, then we put our Twitter logo in here. So don't cycle and tweet, voila. So this could be our campaign about that. So voila, this is a very, very interesting tool to use. If you have the free version, you can download 5 images per day. The paid version, I think, is 120 euro for a year, which is not the biggest cost.
On the web or also there are
This is on the web, only on the web. Yeah, a web app that you can use. You can also save your content. So if you have a recurring visual that sometimes changes, so new blog posts, you have the same background all the time but a different title, you can reuse it all the time and alter it. So you can save that as well. Voilà. So that is that's for Snappa. Okay, Canva, Snappa, 2 times A. Then, if you want to be making infographics without having to use Photoshop or any other tool, simply go for Pick-to-Chart and Infogram. So not infograph, but infogram with the M of Miko. And if you're not going to say, okay, if you're a bit lazy, you can also use Pablo. Pablo is a fantastic tool made by Buffer, which has a Chrome extension. I'll show it again just to make it as tangible as possible. I'll go to a website, INTERREG Med. I see that there's an article here. Look at this. And I have the Chrome extension installed of Pablo, as you can see here. This is Pablo. I click on it, and it will immediately get my image towards towards the Pablo interface, in which I can immediately start editing. Very simple. Team meeting. Voila. And our image is done. This is for Facebook and Twitter. This is for Instagram. I can also change whatever I want. And I have my little image ready without even having to go to my PC to look for the image, because I could just get it from the website. If I then share and download it, it will immediately ask me, what kind of network do you want to share this to? Very, very simple. to use on a quote or a step-by-step procedure or a launch, a call, or whatsoever, this is the tool you want to be using. Pablo. And if you really don't have a lot of time, or if you're completely uninspired, you can also use PowerPoint. With PowerPoint, you can make images with your own fonts and download them. I will make a presentation and just download them as an image.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
It was picture?
Pick to chart. Pick to chart. Yeah, no problem. And then there's also GIF Maker. Who loves GIFs? Cool. So let's show you why I prepared already. I was a very lazy man because you saw the templates already in Snappa. But how you do it, it's very easy. You go to gifmaker.me. It's a very sexy interface, as you can see. And a GIF is actually a sequence of different images. So if you think a bit strategically on, okay, how do you want to make a GIF? It's just by removing, for example, one word or adding one word. So if I go, so I made two images. I took them from the Snappa template. I upload my two images and you will see what I did. Uploading. Voila, this is a GIF. It draws your attention, even if it's not that interesting. People, definitely on social media, want to see things moving, are more attracted to moving things than just still things. So with this one, we had a news flash. You can immediately test this for your news articles or announcements or whatsoever as well. You can even go completely crazy with it. Bam, 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 bam. So news flash. Voila. So GIF Maker, you make GIFs in a couple of seconds. I'll now close this. So that's GIF Maker. Then if you're into Instagram stories, for example, you can use Unfold. Unfold is a fantastic tool, also completely free, in which you have the size of an Instagram story, which is very good to reach young audiences already, but under which you can add text and other images, for example. You can make complete collections of stories all by one. So try to test with it. It's kind of a cool tool to work with. Another nice mobile app, in which you don't have to use a computer, is VSCO. VSCO is a fantastic tool to edit your images in a nicer way. So if you see that the saturation is not so nice, or you have too much blue or green or red in your picture, you can completely change it using the filters that are coming along with it. Then there's Layout. Who knows Layout? Layout was made by Instagram, and you can make collections using Layout in the app. Also, you can play around with like mirrored stuff. Snapseed, also a very, very strong tool, a sort of a built-in Photoshop for mobile users. So try to use Snapseed as well. And then there's Lightroom, and Lightroom is actually a small, it's made by Adobe, and it's a Photoshop application. Over to video, because that's what the algorithms like nowadays. Video, moving stuff. GIF and videos, everything that ends with an with MP4 or with MOV, the platforms like. So before you begin, ask yourself, can you do it yourself? If it's about a VR experience or a 360 video, maybe you should contact a video team. If it's about a crazy after movie like this one, contact a video team. But if you can do it yourself by using very, very simple tools like your smartphone, like a selfie stick, and to have stabilization. And if it's just about telling a message, getting a sort of an interview with afterwards some subtitling, do it yourself. But always try to focus on what's your main message. Try to get your first message across in the beginning. So today we will be talking about, and then you start. think distribution first. As I said before, vertical, square, 69. Vertical go for youngsters, go for Instagram stories, go for Facebook. Square, Instagram in a way. 69 is still popular on Twitter, for example, but for other platforms I wouldn't recommend anymore to go for 69. We've clearly seen that vertical and square on mobile are just the way to go, and nowadays, I mean, I see a couple of laptops left, but most of us are on our mobiles, tweeting live at this conference. Boomerang, this should be moving. No, I just have to put click. Yeah, so I played with my nectarine when I was making the presentation. So this is a boomerang. A boomerang is, with a boomerang app, you make little GIFs yourself. For example, when you're at an event, or when you're counting, or when you're making a little move, it records a sequence, I think it's a half a second or whatsoever, of action in a video. Turns it into a GIF, and you can share it anywhere. Let's look at this Belgian nectarine again. Okay, good. Hyperlapse. Does anyone know Hyperlapse? The Hyperlapse app actually films normally, but you can then increase the speed and so on of your video. What could be nice to use with the hyperlapse is, for example, the setup of an event, or 100 people coming into the room. It gives a nice effect and a cool kind of video to use on social media afterwards. Then, if you want to be talking about your own project, a project introduction, an interview, an explainer, and you want to subtitle it, you want to add music, you want to add anything you want on your mobile phone, that would be InShot. InShot, if you buy it, it's like €3 or something, the app, but it has so many functionalities in which you can just play around with little animated stuff flying in, text, keywords, subtitling, and you don't need any editing studio anymore. You just use the InShot whenever you have time, whenever you've shot a video with your iPhone, and you add value by tweaking your video a little bit. For mobile users, when you're on mobile, you're never putting your sound on, because you're gonna make other people angry when you put your sound on. So you're just reading and watching video. So you better include some subtitles or some keywords that fly in during the video. Another app, a little bit in the same light, is Gravy. Very easy to use, adding subtitles, animations, symbols to your video. There's already some existing templates even, so you don't have to worry about that. But those kind of tools can really make the difference when you don't have the real video skills, but you want to have a little bit of an improvement of your video to be able to sell it to your target audience. Two other tools is Giphy and Giphy World. I encourage you to play a little bit with those tools. They're both apps. With Giphy, you can film GIFs yourself. So you're explaining something, for example, with Post-its, a message, and you film it yourself, and it will repeat. Like all the GIFs I've been showing you today, you can make GIFs yourself. With Giphy World, it's a bit more crazy. You can have sort of immersive GIFs in rooms and film it. So I know it's a bit conceptual, but you film a room, and I've already placed a GIF somewhere there. When I film the GIF will only appear there when I get my camera towards the right-hand side of the room. You can then record that and use it in a video as well. Maybe just try to play with it, and we can, or during the break we can play with it. Giphy World. Now you have your content, and you need to sell it, and of course timing is crucial. And this is a whale. And why is there a whale in my presentation? Very easy, very simple. This is also a whale. No? Kind of? Maybe. Okay, maybe I have too much fantasy. This is a whale for me, and in the insights of your Facebook page, you can perfectly see when people are most active, or when people are most willing to interact with your content. For this particular page, for example, this was late at night, at around 3 and at 10 in the evening. So when we talk about timing, look at when your audience, when your fans are most active, and try to, differentiate and change your timing based on the insights that you get from the platforms itself. For Twitter, that will be follower wonk, the tool follower wonk. With follower wonk, you can immediately see when your Twitter audience is most active or online, and adapt your content planner towards those timings. So if I see that my Twitter followers are most active at 9, 3, and 6, then you better schedule your tweets at those times of the day. And no timing without planning, and making a content planner is quite important. We tend to do social media just on the go all the time, like, oh yeah, now we have this article, I will also post it on our social media platforms. That might, I think that sounds familiar, but it might be good to come up with a sort of a social media content planner. This is a lot of text, you can read it afterwards, but what I'm trying to say is that you have a sort of a spreadsheet, even just a simple Google form in your, within your team, where you kind of line up responsibilities, where you line up what kind of content will be posted or published when, and for which platforms it will be used, which kind of byproducts we will be making for it or not. So try to plan social media in a way that you also would plan communication or plan any other activity that you're doing. And sometimes it's not that difficult to find content. We have these UN days, thematic days, UN, international, EU days. The holidays are coming, some other holidays during the year. Also try to jump on current affairs. What do advertisers do nowadays? They try to use what's already on our minds today. That's the World Cup. Maybe not on everybody's mind. Not mine either, actually, only for the Red Devils. But we try to, they try to use what's already on people's minds in their own communication, to be able to jump in these kind of current affairs that are now thriving. Adapt your content to the timing. And what I'm trying to say with that is that maybe during the weekend, people have more time to read longer content or to see longer videos. So don't back off from including posting during the weekend. So to schedule content that people then can consume in their sofa or at the beach when they have more time and more liberty to just consume content on the go. And then try to reach new communities. And how do you reach new communities, in my opinion, or my experience, is to tag accounts and people in your tweets as much as possible. Use those hashtags and tweets that are also thriving on the web nowadays and that are also literally in relation to the topics you're talking about. And find new hashtags. That's quite an important one. And monitor them afterwards. And how do you find new hashtags? Does anybody know? I know. There's this tool, Hashtagify, with which you can find related hashtags to a hashtag that you're putting in. So I've put in, again, I know it's the usual suspect, INTERREG, and I can immediately see what kind of hashtags there were also being used in relation to INTERREG. What kind of accounts are most active about INTERREG? And in that way, by using also, these are probably event hashtags or whatsoever, but by using the hashtags that are used already in relation to your own hashtag, you can drive people towards your own content by using those hashtags as well in your tweets. So try to do that as much as possible. Try to reach those new communities by looking for the keywords and the hashtag that they're already using. And of course, afterwards, also try to monitor hashtags and to be able to, for example, a very big one is climate change. You can also in Tweet, this is TweetDeck, by the way. In TweetDeck, you can include a keyword and also a region or a place or a country. So whenever people are using that hashtag within the specificities that you have included, you can reach out to them. You can either like, follow them because they're sharing so much interesting content, or you could reach out to them as well. You can say, hey, we've seen that you're tweeting about plastic pollution. This is our project actually, and maybe you can get involved, or maybe you'd like to learn more about it. Come to our event. So try to reach people without, without them expecting it. And that's always nice. That, for example, you get a tweet from someone who says, "Hey, I love what you're doing. Can we meet up?" Those are the best moments of social media. I think that this global village allows you to reach completely new people by just using TweetDeck. You don't need to organize massive conferences to get people, to attract people. You can also just use TweetDeck to reach out to people on Twitter, at least. Then another way to reach new communities is to team up with influencers or to get their attention. Has someone teamed up with influencers already? Invited them to an event, to a briefing, involved him or her in some activities? No? Well, then there's some ideas. Try to map influencers on the go. If you find them, put them in a sort of list that you know that maybe someday they could be handy to use for an event, for example. And find real influencers. What I'm trying to say with real influencers is you don't want to have influencers that are asking money to put pictures online or whatsoever. The influencers need to be people with a passion for a topic or a subject. And yes?
About that actually, do you have in mind any influencers for INTERREG project? Because it's quite hard actually for INTERREG project to find real influencers.
Yeah. Well, I guess that there are definitely bloggers or people with an enormous passion for ocean conservation or whatsoever that you can find and then team up with them and then interview or have as a guest blogger or whatsoever. But tools like Hashtagify or TweetDeck or BuzzSumo will help you immediately to get or to find at least some influencers that are related to your keywords or to the project that you're working on. But indeed, it's way easier for Coca-Cola or for any other fast-moving consumer brand to team up with influencers, of course. But I'm sure that I'm, for example, writing about cycling in Brussels, and for some occasions I've been used as an influencer. I've been invited by the public transport service to have a tour behind the scenes in the metro stations and so on. So if you find those real people with a passion for something, I'm sure that you can have a very nice collaboration with them.
And then the trick is to attract them, because for example there is a big influencer, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
He's working on climate change, he has a foundation. So like how do you attract, okay, maybe not Leonardo, but how do you attract those big influencers,
Yeah, well, by either offering them visibility or just sometimes an elevator pitch, which you will learn at Charlie is sometimes enough to convince them of the fact that your project adds value to the globe or to what they're working on as well. Sometimes a win-win needs to be seen for them in a sort of collaborative way, but it is. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio, I'm not talking about those kind of influencers because it's just too difficult. But an influencer can definitely also be a blogger or a Twitterer with 3,000 or 5,000 followers who's just super interesting and has a big potential of a community that you've never been touching before. These are some collaborations that you can be be having with influencers. I'll have to look at the time. Okay. And of course, also schedule content. Because finally, scheduling content will help you to save time. Because I mean, what we've all been seeing right now is that there's so little time to do all of these kind of things, and just like the content planner and so on. When do you have the time? What's posting during the weekend? But we're not supposed to work during the weekend, and I agree. We shouldn't work during the weekend. So there are tools. There are tools for that. There are tools for anything. There's Buffer. The Buffer tool, you just simply schedule tweets whenever you want. So in certain times of the day. If you have been looking at follower wonk and you see, okay, 9, 3, and 6, you just schedule all of your tweets when you go on holidays or whenever, when you just want to keep your Twitter account alive via Buffer. TweetDeck does completely the same, and there's Facebook Scheduler as well. So within Facebook, you can just simply, when you write a post, instead of pushing post, you say plan. Very easy, and you choose your hour. Could be in 6 months even, but then it's done and you have peace. This is how Buffer looks like. So hello everybody and welcome to my training. I hope you're not too bored. Well, I really hope so. You can schedule it. My next tweet would be at 9 in the morning. And also don't forget to reschedule content. That's actually what I already told you. Try to reschedule your blog post, not by putting the title, but just asking questions, putting steps in your copy, a big call to action, use emojis even, but just reschedule your content, because it will never be the case that one Twitter user will see that same tweet twice. We're always on Twitter on different moments, and that's what's so nice about it. So make sure you tweet enough. I mean, you can tweet the same message 3 times a day. It won't matter. And people don't even go to your Twitter account to read all of your tweets. I mean, that just doesn't happen anymore. So reschedule your content definitely in order to be active enough. And of course, every social media update is perceived as a 3-second audition nowadays. So you need to hook people. And how to hook people? Quite not easy, but there are some rules for it. Copywriting rules. Keep it short, to the point. Maximum 100 characters. Definitely even for tweets or for Facebook updates. With tweets, you'd better go for 120 characters, and then add tweets in a thread. Nowadays, you can add tweets to one tweet, because you make a story yourself instead of trying to, cut letters and try to get that message into those 280 characters. So don't do it. Try to work with a thread. Ask questions and be as visual as possible. Try to come up with giveaway posts. Maybe that's not the case here. Try to play with links with or without an image. The polls, lives, Q&A sessions, emojis. Who uses emojis in posts? Yeah. The Bible of emojis is Emojipedia, by the way. There you can find any emoji you want. Yes. And also involve. I mean, what I also would like to say is like try to involve people in the practice. If you're managing social media, maybe try to ask your colleagues. So what do you think, or what would you add, or what would attract you in one of our Facebook updates? And of course, use the copy that attracts people. I'm just including these kind of copies, which may help you to draw the attention from people. Try to use it in your future updates. Here's another one. This is for later, so I'll just send you the presentation later on. And also post on a frequent basis. So keep the 5-3-2 rule in mind. If you're doing one Facebook update a week, that's just not enough. So try to, using all the tools that we've seen, get those 5, the number 5 already filled on your Facebook page, and it will already be a big step. So try to be sometimes even on a daily basis active, even if you just schedule it in advance. But then, what did this man say? There's one more thing. Sorry, it's advertising. And who's been doing advertising already? On Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn? One person, two, okay, very good. Advertising helps getting leverage. Nothing is more sad than an empty bar. If you've created that great, fantastic content and nobody's listening, nobody's watching, so advertising can help getting some leverage. And as I said before, organic reach is decreasing, so to 7% on Facebook, for instance. It will increase your brand awareness. It will reach a completely new target audience. It's very cost efficient. Imagine that you printed a flyer and you mistakenly put a frog instead of a bird. Yeah, I mean, those flyers have been printed. The cost is gone. With advertising, it's very easy to just push the pause button and to redo your ads on Facebook or on other platforms. And it's very measurable. We can see how many people we've reached, who clicked, which age groups, men, women, which regions, which cities even. And it encourages people to be creative. I'm not going to go into too many details, but this is how ads can look like on Facebook and Instagram. You've also other advertising platforms. It's on Twitter, for example, on Google, YouTube, Google Ads, for example, YouTube ads, LinkedIn ads. So there are many, many ways of doing ads. But some key tips is to define a budget first. So how much do you want to be spending? We have, for example, 5 or 20 euro, and then choose the right platform. If we know that we have a nice little catchy video with enough keywords involved and so on and so on, then go for Facebook. Adapt your ads on the go. As I said, you can, even if you made a mistake, change it afterwards or change it in the process, and promote content that is doing well already. If you see that a post is having 10 likes or 20 likes already, maybe you should invest 5 euro or 10 euro more to reach a completely new and further audience. This is usually how a campaign is made. So you first choose your goal, then your target audience. You select the placement of your advert. Will it be on mobile, desktop, Instagram only, stories, and then monitor the results and adapt. But for me, I'm in love with the targeting of the platforms. What is so crazy about targeting on social media is that you can go from location to gender, age, language, devices, general interests, very small interests, combined interests, devices. If you only want to reach Android users, that's possible. You can have lookalike audiences, so people that are more or less have the same interests or the same demographic background as your already existing fans, for instance. And you can update CRM lists, for instance, as well. For LinkedIn, very quickly, just to give you a sort of a hint or a tease of what you could be doing in the future, is that for LinkedIn you can target members of specific groups. So, for example, the environmental protection groups, Greenpeace, Portugal, these kind of the people that are all part of a group. You can target them one-on-one. You can target people that are working for certain companies, for certain organizations. So in Brussels, for example, we can target the Brussels bubble only by targeting people who are working in Commission, Committee of the Regions, Parliament. You can also target on job roles. So it could be politicians, for instance, mayors, etc. And on Twitter, you can target on keywords. So any keyword you can include in your targeting, or hashtags. So you can really hijack events, for example. So what we do often is for some campaigns, for example, when when it's EUCO, so the EU Council this weekend, you can actually draw your message towards people who are tweeting about that hashtag. It's the same with, for example, climate change or INTERREG. You can be reaching people that are often using those hashtags. You can also do followers marketing. You want to reach local MPs, local mayors, local politicians who are on Twitter. You can include them to be tweeted to, and also their followers. So them and their constituency. So in that way you can soft lobby your message on Twitter. On Instagram, stories are becoming super popular. So if you want to test with that in the future, please go ahead. And with Facebook, there's an enormously strong location targeting. And I'll show you a very quick example. This is Portugal. You can target anyone in Portugal. Okay, cool, easy. You can target people only living in Faro. Or you can go even more specific and target based on just a GPS location, which Facebook provides, of course. You just have to put your coaster where you want. You can target only people living or working or being at 1 kilometer around the marina, around the bay here. So if you're thinking about the potential also for your own projects or to really promote your content towards very niche audiences based on location, then this is the way to go. So this is up to 1 kilometer specific. You can target people around around the city's new market or a new swimming pool or a natural pool or a new water conservation center. So up to 1 kilometer you can target those people who might be interested because they live already next to it but don't know about your existence. Be prepared, create good looking content, test and adapt, scale your budget, optimize your placement. Those are all rules on the go to learn a little bit later, and definitely also analyze what you've been doing. We've been reaching 1,000 people, for example, with 150 clicks. Was it what we expected? What would happen if we hadn't invested anything? So when you do advertising, you can test and adapt all the time and see what was your actual return afterwards. I hope you are convinced, but sometimes it's a bit difficult to convince your boss about advertising. I've seen that enough in organizations that they're like, "Wow, we don't need advertising. We're strong enough. We know what we should do." But then ask your boss, "What's the Ronnie? Who's the Ronnie?" And Ronnie means, what's the return of non-investment? So what would we do if we hadn't invested anything? And I think that's the key takeaway also for social media communication. Invest in it because it will, I think, help you to get your message across, to reach new audiences. And if you're not convinced yet, maybe you should ask yourself, who or what is Ronnie? I thank you, and maybe see you later this afternoon. Thank you very much.